Now, I recently did a video with the warrant that was used to arrest Kourie Richins, who it's being alleged she murdered her husband with a drink that was laced. It was a Moscow Mule. But I want to talk about this drink and figure out what this drink is so we know exactly what was going on. Now, if you go back and look at the other video, you will find out that she eventually wound up writing this book about grief, went on a TV show with it, even though she's now being alleged to have killed her husband. Her husband didn't just die. There wasn't just some sort of accident. There are now allegations out there that she caused his death. There are murder charges. So look at the other videos so that you can check out the warrant there. But one of the things that they talk about in the warrant is that they believe that she gave him this drink that was laced. And let's talk about what kind of drink this is. So I want to go to liquor.com, you guys, so we can know what drink we're talking about here. And let me see if I can pull this up. Liquor.com has some information here, and I want to pull it up. I don't really know a whole lot about liquor and drinks. I do know what I like, but I want to talk about what this typically has in it. It says here, the Moscow Mule is a classic vodka-based cocktail that is popular for good reason. It's delicious, refreshing, and a snap to make. Usually served in this copper mug, and when I have gotten it, it has come in a copper mug. All right, so let's see what's in this thing. It says the simple cocktail combines vodka with beer, with ginger beer and lime. Okay, so I'm not even really a beer kind of person, and my understanding is you don't even really taste it. Like, I've had it before and it didn't really have a beer flavor to it. But imagine you've got all of these sort of flavors in there. So if it's laced with something else, you're probably not going to be able to tell. And I don't know that what Kourie Richins was using was anything that you'd be able to detect anyway. Probably not. All right, let's go back to see what else this says about this drink. It's a no tools required drink that is built right in the mug. It says any high quality vodka will work nicely in the Mule. It says, but now is not the time to experiment with subpar ginger beer. You want a top notch option that comes from a bottle, not a soda gun, and offers enough spicy bite to complement the liquor and the lime. So I had it. I enjoyed it. I will say that. But that's the drink that they're saying that she used to kill her husband. And not once, but twice she tried to take him out, unfortunately. And it looks like she succeeded there on the second try when she gave him this drink. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is, okay, so she's being called the Moscow Mule Killer. I don't know, I guess you could call her the children's book author killer or something like that. But now there has been this possible documentary that has been mentioned. I cannot believe, it wasn't enough for her to have a book that she claimed was helping her cope. Let me just go to this page because I found this even more unbelievable. It seems like she does not stop here, because I want you to take a look at this from Apple Podcasts. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger because the print is tiny here. Tiny, tiny, tiny. And I want you to be able to see this. The Moscow Mule Killer is how some people are referring to her. It says, is speaking with filmmakers from her cell. Listen on Apple Podcasts. The Utah mother accused of killing her husband with laced Moscow Mule drink is allegedly speaking with documentarians and filmmakers about a possible documentary about the current plight she faces. And now prosecutors have asked the judge for a gag order. The judge agreed in part to apply a gag order over the case. So this is what's being said. I'm telling you, I still can't get over this. It's not enough to kill him. It's not enough to write a book. You are now trying to bring people in to do a film about this. There was a HuffPo article Woman who wrote grief book after allegedly killing husband is talking to filmmaker, and it says prosecutors were seeking this gag order. This is what the article goes on to say. A review of defendant's jail calls reveals that she has been communicating with a documentary filmmaker directly and through a friend, prosecutors wrote in a motion that was obtained by KPCW, a public radio station in Utah. They were seeking the gag order. They said it was necessary because of the overwhelming media interest. It would bar those involved with the case from speaking with the media, and prosecutors said they modeled it after a similar gag order in the case against Bryan Kohberger, who was accused of killing the 4 University of Idaho students. And now it looks like, according to the Salt Lake Tribune, they got some of what they wanted. It says Summit County prosecutors on Wednesday had moved for a more substantial gag order in which they requested that all parties related to each of the separate cases, including all witnesses and law enforcement, should not be permitted to speak freely to the press, citing unanticipated and overwhelming media interest in the recently filed murder case. The article goes on to say, but 3rd District Judge Richard Mrazek on Friday instead limited the gag order to lawyers involved in the separate cases, as well as counsel staff, expert witnesses, and counsel investigators. And then here's what else the judge had to say. It says, the mere existence of the compelling interest is not sufficient to overcome the presumption in favor of free and unfettered expression. So we're going to see how this goes. I don't know if you remember me talking about the Fire Festival case and Billy McFarland. I think he was also trying to do something from jail. And if I remember correctly, he wound up in solitary confinement. Now, the difference is he was already in jail and convicted. Okay. And to some extent, you know, that was sort of a different situation. But we're going to see how this goes. There's going to be a ton of media interest around this. I'm going to continue to try to break this case down with all of these different pieces. So stay tuned. But now we know what's going on with this gag order.